Good evening and welcome to the Region Sports Network Kickoff Show. We are here with Week 1. My name is Mike Jamia. I'll be your studio host today. Alongside me, our football analyst, Doug Ashenbaugh. Doug, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm excited that football is back. I can't believe Week 1's already here, but it's exciting, man.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's one of those things where you wake up and you check your social media and all that stuff, and it's already, you see the post flooding in, people talking about how it's Week 1, football starts here in Indiana, and it's a very, very special time for all those players involved and for all their families watching at home, and for us too, because we love doing it.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And all the schools are all, this is our year, this is our shot, right? Week 1 is when you can kind of you go out there and you say, look, hey, this is our year, right? This is that Week 1 really starts it off for you. The excitement's all the way across the board. Anything can happen. I know we have our top 10 and whatnot, but man, surprises happen and they start Week 1, and it's exciting time.
Yeah, no, we do have our RSN top 10 that's out. We have a couple top 10 matchups where we have we have a 9 going against a 4. We got a 7 going against a 2. Yeah. So we'll tell you all that there in a second. But yeah, everyone starts off undefeated.
Yeah, that's right.
And so we will kick it off with our first game on the docket. It is the Andrean 59ers. They go on the road, the Battle of Broadway, and they will go against the Maryville Pirates. We have an RSN audio broadcast of this one. Leo Staudiker will be on play-by-play. Jay Simmons will be on color, and Joey Henrik will be doing the production. So, Doug, it's this rivalry that's been going back for generations.
Oh, yeah.
And we have 2 teams in the top 10. Maryville is number 2 and Andrean is number 7. Tell us a little bit about what you expect from this matchup.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously it's Battle of Broadway, like you just said, and it wouldn't matter if it was Week 1, if it was Week 14, whatever the case may be. This is always a hyped rivalry. And, Andrean, obviously 3-7 last year in the NCC. They're looking for some redemption, right? That's not a typical year for Andrean, first and foremost, and they want to come out. They want to come out strong. Maryville 10-3 last year, obviously went deeper into the playoffs too as well. You got Maryville that's always got the high-power offense, right? They can throw the ball. They get the short throws. They can run the ball very well. Very athletic team. And then you got Andrean on the other side too as well. They're very smart on offense. They're very good at reading defensive backs. And it's going to be, to me, Week 1, it's kind of already, it's going to be a show out there, And again, Andrean's trying to come back this year, and they're trying to make that statement very first week that 3-7 was an off year for us. What other better way to come out strong against a Maryville Pirates team and try to get a win at Battle of Broadway? I think it's going to be a very, very tight game. If we're talking predictions, or if we're going to get to that later, I think Andrean does slightly come up short a little bit with Maryville and the high-power offense that they got coming back this year, but I think it's going to be a very, very close game. Battle of Broadway, it's going to be rocking over there, and it's going to be exciting to listen in on that and kind of see those updates come through.
Yeah, you mentioned Andrean and the off year that they had last year, or at least that's how they're perhaps framing this narrative. What better opportunity to go against Maryville Week 1? Right? I mean, would you agree that Maryville is one of those teams where if you really want a shot at beating them, you don't want to play them late in the year?
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
Yes. So hopefully we do see a close one here between Andrean and Maryville. Our next game, Bishop Knoll, they will go on the road, and they will be going against South Bend Riley.
It's always tough to go travel that far, obviously, first and foremost. Week 1 as well. It's a long bus ride. I can tell you Week 1 versus it is later in the season because you're very excited, right? Your Week 1, you want to get those first hits out, those jitters out. But nonetheless, as obviously we know, Bishop Knoll struggled a little bit too as well last year. But again, kind of that redemption. You get new field and stuff like that. They want to represent. It's going to be tough. Obviously, you're traveling quite some bit that's down there. Bishop Knoll and the GSSC North is trying to make a statement too as well. And I think Bishop Knoll can travel down and play very well. And I think they jump out to being 1-0 on the season, to be honest.
All right.
And they go and they take it to South Bend.
All right, we like that. Early predictions. Doug Ashenbaugh, he's dialed Week 1, and we're glad that he's here with us because that at least makes one of us. We got Bowman. They will travel and they will play the South Central Satellites. Tell us a little bit about this Bowman team specifically, and kind of what they were about last year, and what do you expect from them Week 1?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you talk about Bowman Eagles here, you talk about a very athletic, high-powered offense that can really get into open space and use that athleticism to make very big plays too as well. South South Central on the other side is a very good defensive team, and they're
Yes.
very rich tradition when it comes to defensive side. So this right here is kind of the battle of the offense versus defense, very cliche, you would kind of say. But Bowman is really all about, hey, again, I know we struggled a little bit. We had some higher expectations last year, too, as well. We didn't go as far as we wanted to, but, again, we're reloading back up. And that offense looks very, very well. They had some scrimmages, too, as well, obviously last week, seeing them early on, too, as well, in their summer camps. Again, we're talking early predictions here. I think Bowman makes that travel down to South Central, and I think their offense is just a little bit too much for the South Central Satellites to hang on. So I think Bowman, again, squeaks out. It's going to be a close game, I say. But I think they squeak it out.
All right. And then another region team traveling to South Bend. This one we got Hammond Central. They will be on the road, and they'll be playing South Bend, Washington. Hammond Central, a lot of talent, a lot to look forward to this year. Let's talk a little bit about it.
Of course, absolutely. And, obviously they're in 6A, I believe it is, right, that they're in. So, obviously, they play in a lot bigger schools, too, as well. But again, real quick talk about, we got a lot of Hammond teams traveling out to South Bend week one, first and foremost. But again, this is a school that has a lot of talent. They've had a lot of kids obviously come in when they combine Hammond Central. And, they have a lot of kids that are actually out there to play. Obviously, Adam Hudick now that's out there leading the way. I actually coached with Adam, for a little short stint over at Calumet College, so I know him very well, and I know he's going to have those kids ready to go. He's very, very smart. He knows how to break down film. He knows how to read other teams. And Hammond Central has a lot of offensive weapons. I mean, when we talk about athleticism again, running the ball, the short passes, the quick, over the middle, it's going to be very, very tough for the South Bend Washington Panthers, I think, to really hang with that. That's going to be a struggle for their defense. And again, I think we have another Hammond team that goes down there. Adam Hudak gets his first win of the season, and Hammond Central Wolves take it to him. And it's going to be a good year, I think, for Hammond Central over there.
All right. I like to hear that. Next matchup, two region teams, storied rivalry, very rich tradition here at the Centier Bank Studios. We see it all the time in all the different sports when we talk about these two squads. They go against each other week one. We got Highland at Griffith.
Oh, yeah, Battle of the Bridge. Here we go, Battle of the Bridge. And, I was a part of that when I played, and I'm obviously got deep roots with Griffith. Highland's been doing very well, too, as well. They've had some pretty good years. Last year, 4-7. I know they're below 500, but they started playing very well at the end of the season last year. Same with the Griffith Panthers. And Phil Mason over there, they were 3-7 on the last year, but again, they were a very young team. They didn't have many seniors on that team. And now they had a year underneath their belt, a year with a very good coach, Phil Mason, obviously, as we know, and how successful he has been in his past. From a lot of people I know over Griffith, this team's looking very good. And they've looked very, very good this entire summer. Their scrimmage went really well, too, as well from last week. I think Battle of the Bridge finally gets flipped back over to the Griffith Panthers tonight. And I think this team is going to be the team that have been underestimated right now. And I think Griffith Panthers are going to show up this year, starting with week one, getting the win at the Battle of the Bridge.
Yeah, and you talk about coaching. You talk about Phil Mason and what he's done since, taking over that program. And how important would you say that coaching is, because you talked about Hudak too, and how important do you think coaching is early in the season? Because it seems to me that, the big theme here so far, at least in this early part of the show, is what teams have done this summer, and these scrimmages and things like that. And I feel that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a really good coaching staff knows how to prepare guys during that off-season part of the period and getting into the season. So, do you think that's like an edge that these teams have going into week one?
Absolutely, it 100% is. And I could tell you over at at the Boneyard over there, and Phil Mason, it was almost immediately after the season, you saw how many more kids were more dedicated. You had more kids coming out. You had more kids showing up in the off-season, program they had, and then you see the numbers that they had versus last year just in the summer. You can tell that culture is shifting over there. It's shifting kind of back a little bit to the older school Griffith, Panther football, where it's more community buy-in and all that kind of good stuff. Phil, has really brought that. Mason has really brought that. So when you talk about coaching and how important it is in the offseason, that's obviously one big thing for Phil Mason over there, and they really have been showing out. They really have. Now, nothing against Highland. Highland has great summer. They've had great, previous years in the offseason too as well. But there is something special that's brewing over there from all the talk that I hear a lot, and it does start with those offseason, them summer workouts and camps.
Awesome. Yeah. Doing the work now so it can pay off,
it
right?
Does.
And so we have another game here is between the Hobart Brickies. They will travel and they'll play the Chesterton Trojans. We will have a video broadcast of this one. Michael Bradner is on the play-by-play. Josh Huddleston on color. Zach Zanelli is producing this one, so that's going to be a good one. We already know that. And Scott Stessel's on camera. So stay tuned for that. We'll have the RSN video broadcast between number 8 Hobart Brickies and the Chesterton Trojans. What do we got to expect in this one besides a great show?
It's going to be a great show for sure, obviously. Last year, 7-3 Hobart Brickies. Schreiber, new coach this year. He wants to keep that tradition rolling along with Bricky football. But again, you got an NCC versus a DAC, right? Obviously, two big names in both of those conferences. Two very big schools and rich tradition with football. But Schreiber's going to get them going. 7-3 last year. Chesterton was 2-8. Again, though they play a very tough schedule. There was many games last year for Chesterton that were one possession, one score games for them that they were very close to being either at 500 or better. This is going to be a show, man. It really is. Obviously, really share a name we hear quite a bit in the region, the running back over there for the Hobart Brickies. He's excited to start his senior year, too, as well. Obviously, he's put the team on his back, I would say, kind of give that guy the ball and see what he can do with it. This one's going to be close. I think it's going to be very, very close. And again, we talk about early predictions on this one. I think Willie Scher is going to kind of put the team on his back, and I think Hobart Brickies is going to come out with a win. Schreiber gets his first win with his new squad, and but a very tight game, I think, is going to be over there.
That would be a huge win for the new head ball coach.
Oh, yeah,
Hobart.
Absolutely.
And then our next game, John Glenn, they will travel on the road, and they will play the Boone Grove Wolves that are number 10 in our RSN Top 10, so they start the season week 1 at home as they host John Glenn.
Of course, and Boone Grove, again, very rich tradition. I know, when they first started their football program and they came out very strong. They were down a couple years, and now they're back. Last year, starting it 8-3, GSSE North Conference there. Again, I think Boone Grove, though, is just a little bit too powered on offense for John Glenn to handle that. But again, Boone Grove is very, very short pass, like to run the ball, like to be powerful, kind of in your face, and then they also turn it on the other side. They have a very, very good defense over there. They're stemming off of last year. Obviously, played 11 games, kind of deeper into the playoffs. 2 games in the playoffs last year. And I think they go, and John Glenn is just, I don't think they come up a little bit short versus that. And Boone Grove comes out, staying at number 10, and honestly, they may jump up in the rankings too as well. This team is looking very, very good this year.
Yeah, and that a lot of that will depend on the teams ahead of them and what their week 1 results are. So, Absolutely. But yeah, a smash mouth football team in Boone Grove coming in at number 10 on the RSN rankings. 2 unranked teams in this next one: the LaPorte Slicers and the New Prairie Cougars.
Yeah, DAC, and then obviously we know New Prairie too as well. New Prairie's been very good for quite some time now. Even when Racky took over, a while back. Obviously, he's not there anymore. He's over at Knox. But and LaPorte in the DAC, they have tough competition every single week. When you play the DAC, it's no easy game at all by any means. So this one's tough to predict, I would say, being week 1. But, New Prairie, again's coming back strong. Their offense, they're one that can either score on you very quick or they're going to take up a whole quarter on you and you have no idea what just took place, and you're sitting now in the second or in the fourth quarter saying, how do we come back? So it's going to be tough. And I think LaPorte, again, they've always been very rich with running the ball, too. They're very good at running the ball. They know they utilize more than one back, too, that's over there. This one's going to come down to it, but if I'm going to put a prediction on it, I think New Prairie Cougars squeak out just slightly above LaPorte Slicers out there. But, again, great show for week 1 when you got a DAC, matchup against New Prairie Cougars.
Yeah, a lot of these teams are here in week 1 trying to make their stake as to what their identity is.
Yes.
One team that we certainly know their identity, and that is the Crown Point Bulldogs. They're the number 1 team in the RSN Top 10, and they'll be hosting the Lowell Red Devils. We have an audio broadcast of this one as well. Quincy Bell on the play-by-play, Mike DeWan doing color, and David Cruz is producing this game. So the number 1 Crown Point Bulldogs, they start their season at home against Lowell.
This one's going to be an electric atmosphere. I could tell you that. From being from Lowell, I could say, we had all these things that were sent out to us. They got a brand new parking lot specifically for visitors. They built brand new refs. They have their own locker room that's off to the side now. Obviously, their indoor facility. That place is going to be rocking on both sides. I can tell you that Lowell travels very well, and this Battle of the Leather Helmet has been very rich in tradition for both sides of the ball. Lowell struggling a little bit last year, 4-6. Obviously, we know what Crown Point, going down to the state finals last year versus Ben Davis. They got Noah Ehrlich, Larry Ellison, obviously on that side. That's going to be a very, very high-powered offense once again. I know you lose the Will Clark on the defensive side, but Crown Point is in that shape where it's not, they're reloading.
Yeah.
They're not rebuilding. They're reloading over there. And, Lowell is trying to make a statement. They were very young last year. They had a lot of sophomores that were starting, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And then Kalowinski started at, quarterback being a sophomore midseason through. They got another whole offseason underneath their belt. These kids are also trying to come out and trying to prove, hey, even though we're young, we can play with the big dogs. And this one's going to be a battle. Lowell always starts out kind of slow. That's Lowell football, and they kind of pick up, but that's due to how tough their schedule is in the beginning. And I got a lot of people out there saying, hey, Lowell's going to shock the world tonight. Everyone's kind of underestimating the Lowell Red Devils. And you know what? I could see it. There's a lot of young kids out there that are very, very hungry to play. And when it comes down to week 1, like we've talked about, anything can happen. If I'm picking any upset tonight, it's the Lowell Red Devils over the Crown Point Bulldogs.
Wow. You heard it here first. And if you heard it elsewhere before now, provide evidence in the comments. Because I don't believe you.
Yes.
I don't believe you. Doug Ashenbaugh, if he's going to pick, he said, if he's going to pick one upset, it's Lowell over the number 1 Crown Point Bulldogs. I will say this, that you make a good point about how young they were last year, and that makes a big difference, right? And Crown Point, although they are reloading, and kind of earlier when we talked about Maryville, right? If you're going to play Crown Point, you're going to want to play them maybe in the beginning of the year before they really kind of get humming, right? Yep. So, I understand the logic, but nonetheless, it's as bold as it can be, and I appreciate that. Fortune favors the bold, and we'll see how fortunate Lowell is in this one tonight against the Crown Point Bulldogs. We have another top 10 team. It's the Michigan City Wolves, and they will go on the road and they'll play the Warsaw Tigers. Last season was one of those dramatic games between these two teams. I think it was decided by a field goal, in overtime, right? Yeah. So again, now here they go and they meet, and it's week 1. Michigan City, number 6 in the RSN Top 10, and they travel on the road to Warsaw.
Yeah, this offense is loaded, though, for the Michigan City Wolves. Typically it is. It's never really a rebuild for them. It's kind of a reload on that offensive side for them. Now, when you come back to the Warsaw Tigers, though, they are very option-rich football. They love running that. It's very tough to defend. So can Michigan City settle in on week 1, those jitters, right? You're trying to find your identity, maybe even some spots. Some kids may be switching spots and finding kind of where they fit in on the field too as well. So sometimes that's tough to go against an option team. And Warsaw's been running it for years. The coach over there has been running it for years. He puts on clinics for option. So it's going to be a very tough matchup, just like as you said, last year coming down to a field goal between the two. Now, flip it. Can Warsaw hang with the offense of Michigan City Wolves? This one's going to be a very tough one here. It's exciting to see week 1, especially you kind of, you ended your season last year on it, and then now all of a sudden you come back and, week 1, I'm going to go Michigan City Wolves. I'm going to go, DAC. Obviously, region, too, as well, football here, but I think Michigan City Wolves offense is a little bit too high-powered for them. I think they make a couple more bigger plays, and they pull out with a win.
All right. It's going to take all phases for sure to win these games. It's week 1. A lot of teams ready to go, prepared. So are we, but we'll take a break. When we come back from the break, we're going to feature a top 5 team, and then we're also going to feature two teams, both in the top 10, going against each other as well. So we'll take a break. Remember, you're watching the Region Sports Network here at the Centier Bank Studios, the only game in town.
We love home internet from T-Mobile. Wi-Fi all over your home. Take a class in your attic. That dead spot is gone. Stream ballet in your man cave. Learn to paint on your lawn.
He's glorious.
And now on the road you can take T-Mobile Wi-Fi with you. Hey, stay connected and watch what you'll do.
When life takes you places and you can't get to the store, shop online with Strack and Van Til To Go. Our to-go service is easy to use and it can save you time and money. Once your order is in, our own Strack and Van Til team preps your order with care. For delivery or pickup, enjoy the convenience of letting our to-go team shop for you. Enjoy your special moments. Sign up online today at shop.strackandvantil.com.
Hi, I'm Crowd Company's Lantern Man. For years, I've helped your family and friends save on their car insurance. And now I've returned to rescue you from high prices. Whether you have a perfect driving record or a not-so-perfect record. Follow me to the Crowd Agency for immediate and affordable coverage. I'm your insurance superhero. Crowd Company's insurance professionals. Highland, Merrillville, and Michigan City.
Have you checked out Centier Bank's student checking account? This no-fee checking account is perfect for students and teens ages 14 to 24 and comes with all the features you need to succeed, such as a debit card, digital banking, and automatic deposit. Centier Bank can help you start establishing good spending habits today for your better tomorrow. For more information, visit Centier.com/student-checking or visit your local branch. If you are under the age of 18, your parent or guardian must also sign on the Centier student checking account. At the age of 25, your account will automatically convert to the Centier checking account. You must deposit $25 to open this account. This account is not eligible for overdraft advantage. Member FDIC.
Welcome back to the RSN Week 1 kickoff show here in the Centier Bank Studios in an undisclosed location in the region is the RSN headquarters and where they're located. We're coming back from the break now. We've gone through half the games, okay? So we'll revisit those, but let's get to the second half. The first one to talk about is between the Morton Governors and the Portage Indians. So Morton is ranked number 5 in the RSN Top 10. They will travel to the Warpath in Portage, Indiana, where they'll go against their former head coach, Roy Richards, now coaching the Portage Indians. And Roy Richards hosting a top 5 team in the RSN Top 10 here week 1.
Yeah, and what a time, I guess, to say, to kind of get your first win. Obviously, Portage struggled last year, going 0-10. Morton last year, 5-5. Obviously, they're probably the favorites to win the GLAC this year, or predicted, to win. But again, Roy Richards is that 0-10 is nothing to look at. That's last season. Again, we talked about the off season, the summer camps, getting the scrimmages last week. And I could tell you probably Roy Richards is extremely fired up for week 1, let alone then you add in the Morton Governors on top of that, your old team that you coached, right? What better way to get your first win? They're in the DAC. I talked about it earlier, Portage, right? Each week is not an easy week. There's no, hey, this game should be an easy win at all for us. Again, a lot of young kids too as well. You're starting to see the numbers grow again, that Richards has come out. Great offseason with them. Morton, again, you talk about their offense. Morton has always been a very high-powered offense team. They always have some very good athletes, very quick, can make plays in open space, make big plays over the top. But I think Roy Richards and the Portage Indians get their first win underneath Roy Richards this week, and I think they're going to be fired up. The team's going to be fired up for Roy, too, as well. And I think Portage Indians start off hot the year. They start off week 1 with a win versus Morton Governors. And, I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. I think it's going to be a very close game. It's going to be a lot of offense. I think it might be even a little bit more high scoring, too, as well. But I think Portage comes out with a win week 1. Roy Richards is fired up for this game. It's going to be kind of exciting to see those scores come in. I think it's going to, like I said, be very, very high scoring.
Yeah, I'm excited for those scores to come in as well. Daryl Skibinski, Skibbs, he's up there. He's working the Strachan Van Til scoreboard. So we'll be watching that scoreboard too, as well as tuning into the games that we have broadcast for. So yeah, it'll be exciting. And Munster, they go on the road and they'll play the Lake Central Indians. The Munster Mustangs on the road, Lake Central Indians at home. What can you tell us about this matchup?
A lot of DAC versus NCC to start off week one, first and foremost, which is great. Obviously, those are two big conferences out here with a lot of rich traditional football teams. And Munster, being very rich, struggles. They've had struggles here in the past few years. Same with Lake Central, 5-6 last year for them, but again, in the DAC, playing tough each week. But unfortunately, I think Lake Central is just a little bit too much. They got a lot of athletes that are over there, both defensively and offensively, and I think they're a little bit too much for the Munster Mustangs tonight, and Lake Central comes out and they get the win.
All right. On to North Newton, the Spartans. They will go on the road, and they'll play the Whiting Oilers.
This is always a very good matchup. And we always know, too, as well, Whiting Oilers is a very, very good football program that's up there. 4-7 last year in the GSSAC South over there. And, again, when these two meet, it's very tight. It's never really a blowout kind of game between these two. And, again, Whiting Oilers, making a statement saying, hey, I know we've maybe had a couple down years, but the statement week, right? How do you want to start off your season? Do you want to start off strong? And I think Whiting Oilers come out, I think it's at least a 2-score game. Whiting comes out strong tonight, and they get the win at home.
All right. Osceola Grace, they will travel to Calumet, and they'll play the Calumet Warriors.
Yeah, Calumet, again, in the GSSC South over there with Whiting. They kind of been battling it out for the past couple of years, 3-7 last year. A lot of talk, though, about Calumet Warriors, and it has been in the past, too, as well. A lot of athletes, the offensive style they have, the very big plays that we see that come from Calumet Warriors, and I think we're going to continue to see that in week one. Week one is very tough for defenses. Right? You don't have much film on teams at all. You don't know what they're coming out with. Many changes, new faces on the side of the ball, and I think, Calumet Warriors overall just making those big plays, and that offensive side is going to be too much for those Grace Eagles over there, and Calumet comes out with a win.
All right. Maybe he's going to get some fireworks in Calumet. See Justin Cole, our producer for our show. He's fired up. He loves that. And next game, the Kankakee Valley Cougars, that's Cougars with a K, they will play host to the Rensselaer Central Bombers.
Yeah, KB 5-6, NCC team. Again, they play in a very tough conference, too, as well. But obviously these two South teams, they're a little bit of a rivalry down there. As much as, maybe not so many people say, I can tell you they are. And Rensselaer Central, we know how rich that program is over there. They're very good. They're normally very good as well, too. So they bring a lot of power, smash mouth football kind of, where we're going to kind of show up, we're going to punch you in the mouth, and we're going to keep going until you can stop us. But you go on the KV side, they have very athletic backs. They have very quick backs. Their speed, they break away big runs. And it's not just right off the bat. It's kind of they hit you too as well. 1, 2, 3 plays. And next thing you know, the fourth one is gone. Don't know much about them just yet, being week one. But I'm going to say the Kankakee Valley Cougars, they come out with at least winning by 10 points, I say.
Okay. All right. 10-point margin, 2-score game. Yeah, we're going to learn a lot about these teams, and a couple more teams we'll learn about are the East Chicago Central Cardinals as they host the River Forest Ingots.
EC, last year with their struggles, 1-9 in the GLAC and the River Forest Ingots in the GSSC North. Again, teams that are, they're close. So, there's some rivalry there, too, as well, up there up north. But, EC has had struggles. But, again, you talk about being able to make big plays, being able to break defense over the top. East Chicago has that ability. They always have had that ability where they can make anything in the open field, can be electric. It's exciting to see once they're in the open field. And tonight, I think they're a little bit too much. I'm going with at least a 2-score win over the River Forest Ingots.
All right. South Newton Rebels, they will travel to Lake Station to play the Lake Station Eagles.
Yeah, Lake Station last year, 2-8. GSSC North 2 as well team. South Newton Rebels, again, a team that always travels very, very well, especially, coming up here north. But Lake Station has been very well. They played very well towards the end of the season last year. And there were some close games. It wasn't, that 2-8, again, as I talked about Chesterton earlier, one possession game and you can be a 500 team. And they were starting to play very, very well. Strong off season too as well. The numbers have picked up too as well for Lake Station with how many kids are coming out into that program. And I think tonight they make a statement as well, and they start off strong with a win and beat the South Newton Rebels.
All right. And the next game, the last couple of games we talked about, you talked about teams, northern teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there is such thing as a true battle for the North every opening week, it is this one.
Yes.
The Valparaiso Vikings are number 3 in the RSN top 10. and they will go to Penn to play the Kingsmen. Valparaiso, Penn. Every year it starts the season, and this sets the tone here in the North. Do you expect this one to be similar?
Yeah, it is, and this one's always exciting. I think everyone always is at the end of the season saying, well, I'm circling this game. I want to know what happens, Valpo versus Penn, and obviously we know both of these programs are extremely rich in traditional football, and it's always exciting. It is always exciting, and it tells you a little bit, too, as well about Valpo and how their season's going to go. Penn's a great program. We all know that is, and that's why Valpo puts them on at week 1. They want something tough off the bat. They continue being tough being in the DAC. And, yeah, sure, it's been a struggle the past couple years versus Penn, but they've hung in there. They've played extremely, extremely well. They've played extremely tough. And I think this is their year. I think Penn might be down just a little bit. When I say down for Penn, though, It doesn't mean, hey, they're going to have a less than 500 year by any means. But I think this year they're slightly down from what they were last year. Valpo obviously reloading, another program that doesn't rebuild. They reload. And I think they go out to Penn and they sneak out a week 1 win.
Wouldn't that be something for the North?
That would.
Especially Portage. You're saying Portage gets their first win tonight. Yeah. Valpo goes on the road, beats Penn. Yeah.
Beating Crown Point.
That would be the one. But no, everyone could end up happy tonight, right?
Absolutely.
But remember, only half the teams in Indiana win every week.
That's
so
right.
Only half the teams win. So we'll see. But no, absolutely. I think you're absolutely spot on with Valpo and Penn and these two behemoths of programs in the North. So. We have 2 games left. The West Side Cougars, they will go again, another team from the region traveling down south. This team going all the way to Indianapolis, though, playing the Indianapolis-Washington Continentals.
Yeah, long travel, obviously, for them for week 1, and it's always tough to travel that far, especially. But West Side Cougars, we've talked about them in previous years, and again, they are a very electric team. They can make very big plays. They can break things over the top on the defense. That makes it very hard for defenses to cover, especially opening up your run there. And I think Westside is going to travel down, make that long journey, but they're going to come off the bus ready to go, and they're going to get a win over the Continentals down there in Indianapolis.
All right, and you talk about a West Side team that can, be explosive and things like that. Mm-hmm. Our last matchup here on our docket is between the Wheeler Bearcats. They come in at number 9 on the RSN Top 10. And they will go and play Hanover Central Wildcats. They're number 4 in RSN Top 10. And we were talking about it at the break. This Hanover Central team, this program has just boomed along with all of Cedar Lake, it seems. And so what do you expect here between a top 5 team and a team that's in the top 10 and the RSN polls? What do we have to expect in this one? That's a huge matchup in terms of pure rankings. This might actually be our biggest matchup of the night in terms of on paper.
Yeah, no, I would totally agree with that. Absolutely. Hanover Central, obviously we know how successful they have been past couple years, and it's a newer program. I say newer, it's not within a couple years, but few years here they've been very, very good. They've been very good on offense. They've been very good on defense, very well-rounded. Obviously a heartbreaker last year in the playoffs, going 11-1 in the NCC 4A, as you talked about. It's exploding out there in Cedar Lake. The program's getting bigger. The numbers are getting bigger. But that is the same thing for the Wheeler Bearcats, too, as well. Mm-hmm. This team is playing extremely well. They played extremely well at the end of last year, too, as well, in the run, and they finished out their season in the GSSC North. This one's going to be electric. I think this is going to be a back-and-forth game. I think the defenses will settle in the second half. But I am calling it now. I think another upset is in the works. I think Wheeler comes out strong. They're making a statement saying, hey, Wheeler Bearcats are here this year. We're going to build off last year and how we finished. We have a strong senior class this year, too, as well. And I think they're going to travel down to Cedar Lake, and they're going to come out with a very, very tight win, going back and forth against Hanover Central. But the Wheeler Bearcats are going to come out on top tonight, I believe.
And that would be a huge win to shake up the RSN Top 10 after Week 1. But, hey, that's why we come out with the preseason ranking, for these things to change. So there are a lot of teams here that we talked about that are hoping for things to change, and there are some that are hoping for things to keep on humming, right? Yeah. So we'll see who's fortunate in this one. But just a reminder, we have 3 broadcasts tonight. We have the Andrean 59ers and the Maryville Pirates in Maryville. We have an audio broadcast for you for that one. We have the Chester and Trojans. They are hosting the Hobart Brickies. That is going to be on video for all of you folks. and then as well as we got the number 1 team this week. We're the Region Sports Network, right? So we got them on audio for you as the Crown Point Bulldogs play host to the Lowell Red Devils. Thank you to all you viewers. Thank you to Justin Cole, producing a great show. Thank you to Doug Ashenbaugh with all of his great insight and analysis. I'm Mike Jamia. Stay tuned with us for all of our coverage. We have the Strachan Van Til scoreboard, and then we'll come back later this evening to provide a post-game show for all of you. So stay tuned and keep watching the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.